a link to the presentation after the program. And now I'm going to turn it over to Julie Palmer. She's from LinkedIn Learning, and she can tell you a little bit more about this and why you should be using this.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's so exciting because normally I talk to library personnel. I don't get to talk to patrons. So I'm excited about this because we have a lot of just great resources that I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to send those to Mimi, and she's going to make them available to you and get those sent out to you tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is just give you a quick introduction of who I am. Next July, not next month, but the month after, it'll be my 11th year here. So I started with the original lynda.com team and obviously rolled over into LinkedIn. And last July, we went from just offering up the LinkedIn Learning content, and they retrained all the reps so that now I can offer my state and local government and public libraries not only LinkedIn Learning, but also the recruiter, job slots, job wrapping, talent insights. So I get the whole scope of kind of the talent acquisition into engaging with LinkedIn Learning and then measuring the outcomes and finding better ways to get things done. So a lot of changes here, which is always the case at LinkedIn. It's a fast moving freight train, but I'm happy to be with you today. Actually grew up in Southeast Iowa, and Illinois was always my neighbor, and lived in Ohio for a number of years. So used to go through Illinois all the time going home, and have been out in Southern California now for almost 18 years. But I am finishing up my rehab house, and I'm going to sell it and move back to Ohio because I have grandkids now that I never get to see. And I'd like to be closer to family. And LinkedIn said we could work from anywhere. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to pick up everything and move cross country. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have a deck just to briefly kind of bring everybody together. And then I have some resources that I'm going to share with you, along with just walking you through LinkedIn Learning for Library and how to use it and how to look up content. And if you guys have questions as I'm going through this, please stop and ask me, or you could put it in the chat and Mimi can then ask the question. But I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Okay. And it's not showing up on my end. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. Let's. Sorry about that. It is just not liking me trying to share my screen. Let's try that again. Okay. Can everyone see that okay? Thumbs up, anyone?
Yep, I can see it.
Yep. Okay, great. All righty. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the presentation mode. And again, what we're going to talk about is from the patron's experience and how they can use LinkedIn Learning, whether you're just trying to learn how to play a piano or a guitar, or maybe you have a small home business that you would like to learn more digital marketing and social media posting type content, or maybe you want to learn how to code and that's something that you're passionate about and you'd like to get further into that, or you just want to be a person who likes to keep on learning and just learn new things and develop areas of interest. So again, we can support many different needs and wants as we go through this. So, looking at prior to COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, if we're kind of post, but anyway, we have, I think there's like 25 million people in Q3 and Q4 of last year that left their job. So we have not only the COVID effects, but we have the great reshuffle. We have people that, we're working and we're sent home to, shelter in place. And can we, Mimi, I don't know if we can turn on a transcript for this.
Yes, I just turned on the transcript closed captioning. Is that okay?
Okay. Yep, that's perfect.
Great.
It was showing up on my end. I didn't know if I had to do something, but empowering, patrons alike, with everyone else is to, how do I learn net new skills if I got laid off or was displaced because of COVID, or I left the job that I've been working at because it was just too much pressure and I just didn't believe in what I was doing any longer. A lot of folks are kind of taking a step back and asking themselves, what do I want to do? Where do I want to live? Is this the right thing for me? So we have a lot of that going on right now. And LinkedIn Learning is just, obviously I work here, but I wouldn't be able to be in a sales position and offer a solution I didn't believe in. And I love our content. I've loved it since lynda.com. And it's how I like to learn personally. I used to work for other content providers, and it was more of watching a PowerPoint, and you know how fun that is. It's like watching paint dry. Where with lynda.com and LinkedIn Learning, we have video training that can be consumed in micro size or a chapter size or macro, where you want to view the whole course and learn everything you can about a certain topic. You can do that on LinkedIn. So what we're going to do is just kind of go through what we've heard, shared a little bit of that with you already, what we're seeing in trends and challenges, and then also too, the value of building the right skills. If you're still, wanting to work, needing to work, and you might be, suffering from how fast technology has pushed all organizations in the last 2 years because of COVID to right size and upsize their technology stack. A lot of people were kind of left in the dust because, they don't normally move that fast. It used to be the skills you had today would last you 5 or 6 years. In the last 2 years, we have leapt 10 years ahead because of the push, because of COVID, working from home. So it puts a lot of stress on individuals and companies to be able to move that fast, to get that implemented and get people trained. So one of the things too, is you see here, and this is just kind of looking at it from a, company perspective, but, by 2025, 44% of the people who have these skills now will have to reskill up again, because technology will have done another leap to where the skills we have today won't support what we need to do in our jobs. So I think as time goes on, it's just going to continue to speed up, which everybody's just kind of like, okay, I already feel overwhelmed or burnt out or whatever. So just know it's not just you feeling that way. Pretty much the whole workforce is feeling like they have their wick burning on both ends of the candle. And we have great well-being and mindfulness content in here as well. That really does. We actually use it in our team meetings to help kind of de-stress and remind yourself you need to take care of yourself first, so that you can be a productive employee, or, productive in going out and searching for a job and finding the right job. The way that we develop our content is coming directly from our users, so learners on the platform. The economic graph is what is made up of the 850 million members who have created a profile. We have over 57 million organizations who have created their free company page or paid for career page. Right now, we have a little over 20 million jobs posted on LinkedIn. And one of the cool things too, because of this economic graph worldwide, is we have taken our competency mapping, where we can look at a particular job and look at this job needs to have, they need this experience and skill. And we've mapped those competencies to 38,000 skills around the world. So we can actually help organizations take a person, look at their skill set, look at what the job requires, and then we can identify the gap to help it make it easier for that learner to be able to go, I need to take this, this, and this to be able to do this job, fully. So going into a net new job, you're coming in with skills and experience, but there's usually a gap there that needs to be trained up and filled to be able to do the job long-term. We also have 120,000 higher ed institutions that have company pages or education pages on LinkedIn. And the reason why I'm sharing this information is because this is how we look at this data, what's changing, what's happening. I think the latest stat is every 2 seconds, we're creating 6 million new data sets, meaning that the individuals on LinkedIn who've uploaded a post or added a job or changed a job title or moved across the country, those data sets are just continuously being updated, renewed. So this data is pretty much live. To where we can then help, support our organizations to make better decisions on the money that they spent in their local area, to what programs, social programs they might invest in. So again, being that it's data driven, we do release 50 to 60 net new courses a week. And the way that we come up with, well, what content do you offer and how do you get to, pick those topics? We actually get this information from the learners of LinkedIn Learning. They're requesting, hey, we just got this new technology and I see you only have one course on it, or we need this version of it or whatever. They start listening to a groundswell. They'll put the ear to the ground. And when they start seeing kind of that groundswell of more and more people ask for it, that's then when we go into action to look at the 2,400 authors that we have. And I'm sorry if you hear my dogs growling in the background, they are playing, but they're making noise. The 2,400 authors that we work with, if we don't have the expertise on hand, then we will go source a new author and put them, it takes about 6 to 9 months to be put through the whole process to become an author on LinkedIn. But then we work with them, taking their content into our framework. So we're creating and building the videos. LinkedIn owns the videos, but every time somebody clicks and views whether it's a video, a chapter, or a course within LinkedIn, that author gets paid a royalty. So that's how we've been working with our authors since lynda.com days. And it's been very successful and very rewarding for authors that do well on our platform. So when we look at, how patrons are utilizing LinkedIn Learning for Library, one of the things that, back in like 2012, I think I had at least 10 libraries a day calling in and saying, do you have an offsite solution? And we're like, no, the solution that we had then was more of like a kiosk where you sat down at a computer, you didn't log in, you just accessed content, so you couldn't track anything. We kept asking. And finally they said, okay, we're going to develop this product, which I was like so happy because so many libraries wanted it. But you can access your content from a desktop. And that's how you would actually set up your LinkedIn Learning for Libraries. You need to go to a desktop computer, enter in your library card number and a PIN number, and then that creates an account for you on LinkedIn Learning. If you want to access the mobile app and view it offsite, then you can actually download the app once you've created your account on a desktop. And then there is a vanity URL that Bloomington Public Library has created that you then just put that code, whether it's BPL or whatever they put within their vanity URL, you would add that to your mobile app and it identifies that this patron goes with this library and it lets you in. We also have audio courses only. So that was added, I think, about 2 years ago, where we might have some commuters who don't want to be, streaming video and using up, the phone plan that they have. They can just listen to courses. So there's that capability as well. Again, we're 16,500, 17,000 courses. About 9,600 of those are in English. And then we have 6 other languages that we do offer. So we're not making one course in English, one in German, one in Spanish, one in French. We're just taking the most popular courses in those regions and developing that content for them. One of the things and why patrons love this, and I have so many stories, like when ALA's annual conference was in Florida a number of years ago, I was checking, I had to go to the front desk of the hotel before we went over to the conference center. And I had my lynda.com jacket on. We called it our licorice uniform because it was all black, but it had the little lynda.com logo. she's like, you work at Lynda? And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, oh, I use you guys at our library. I said, oh, that's fantastic. And she leans over and she whispers to me, she goes, this is not my forever job. She goes, I'm taking, I think it was like digital marketing. She goes, I can get a job of that anywhere. And I started laughing. I said, yes, you can. So, it just shows that, she was doing her 9 to 5, but she was planning an escape to do something that she was very passionate about. And she had taken, I don't know how many courses. I mean, she took like anything and everything around digital marketing and social media posting and how to manage that for customers. But those are just stories that we hear all the time. But it can help if you have a job and let's say you have to give a presentation on Monday and it's in front of the executives and you're like, wow, I don't feel real comfortable speaking in public, or I haven't done a public presentation in a while. We have the content to help support you with, presentation modes and styles, communication skills, how to show the body language when you're in front of people, what to do, what not to do. So we have that type of content to bolster up your confidence. So when you go into that meeting, you feel like you have it all under control, you look cool as a cucumber, and you deliver a great presentation. And again, it just kind of goes through some of the other IT, communications, marketing. Again, the authors that we use, these folks are considered experts in their field. So they have a huge, thought leadership program where people look to them to get the answers. Those are the people that we use as our instructors, and they have a huge following. So they're well known, and this is what they do for their business. So they're just not coming on and reading a script about how to do something. They'll show you how to do something, but also how to use it in the real world. We also have downloadable exercise files. So if you're someone who likes to do it while you're learning, you can download that. If it's, let's say, an Excel doc, you can download it. It'll pre-populate with what's showing up on the author screen, and then you can work through the problem along with the author. Again, you have access to all courses, the new courses. And if let's say you viewed a course 2 months ago and you need to go back and review something, you have access to that as well. So there's no content that's being hidden or not provided to library patrons. And again, we're adding new content all the time. We also update our content. So if something like some vendor like Microsoft, who is our parent company, if they change how Word is working versus how our training looks, we will be talking to Microsoft prior to that change going out to the general public. So when they release the updates, our content matches how Word actually works. So you're not going to log in and find something that you're trying it here, then you go try it there, and it's like, that doesn't work like that any longer, which is frustrating. Also too, once you've gone through an entire course, you would get a certificate of completion, which will have the course name, the date you completed it, a ID number for that certificate, and how long the course was. One thing that we had to change because of ALA's recommendations when we went from Lynda Library to LinkedIn Learning for library is they wanted to protect the patron's privacy and security. So we only ask for your library card and PIN when you're logging in. Once you're logged in, we drop it. We do not save that information. So no longer will the certificates have names on them. What I help share with my libraries is, if you have a certificate of completion, download it, sign it with your name and date, and then just store that someplace. Just put a folder and keep those there. And this is important as well. If you lose your library card because we have no email address or a way to find you through the system, because with all other LinkedIn Learning, we use email as a unique identifier. We can find that person's profile, but because you don't have a profile, you would lose all of your past learning experience. So that's why it's really important to download those certificates of completion. In case you did lose that card, we don't want you to be like, I had 20 certificates in there. Just download them. That's all I can tell you, best practice. This is a tool I'm going to be sharing. It's a website. I'll share this with Mimi and she can share it with you. And I'll show you an example of live how this works. When COVID first happened, Microsoft and LinkedIn partnered up together to make a commitment to those that lost their job, no fault of their own, because of companies shutting down, that Microsoft's goal was to support 50 million learners throughout the world to learn, either bolster up the skills they had or learn something totally new to get into a new area. And we ended up training 35 million people during that time. And what we did is we put together 10 learning paths of the most popular in-demand jobs around the world, and then shared those out for those folks to have access. And normally what would happen is they would work with like local workforce investment boards. So they had the wraparound services to meet and do the interview, kind of critiquing and resume writing, that kind of stuff. But they use the LinkedIn Learning as the core tool to help skill up. But what the Career Explorer allows you to do is I can come over here and say, hey, I'm in sales. I'm a salesperson. I want to, maybe I've been in food service in the past, but I want to get into sales, let's say wine and spirits. Maybe that's where I'm going if I was in food services. It'll actually show me the skills that I currently have that are overlapping from a food server to a salesperson. And then over here, it's actually going to show me the gaps that I need to fill. So what I would do, because you have no profile to connect these together, I would actually just copy down these different titles of courses, go into your LinkedIn Learning, look those courses up and save it as a collection. I'll show you how to do that. But this is what's identifying the gap that you need to make the transition from a food service person to a salesperson. And this will help give you kind of that background of what you need to be able to present yourself that, hey, I'm ready for this position. And, I've taken the content, the learning and development that I need to get an entry-level job here so I can continue, moving on through my career. The other cool thing about this is, and I'll show you in the real thing here, is find the connections on LinkedIn. So it will actually take you to the job section of LinkedIn where there are open jobs looking for salespeople. And it helps you then be able to take your network from this to people who actually have these jobs and are looking for people with your skill. So again, this is just something that we put together around COVID and workforce development, but library patrons really like it because sometimes you don't know. I think a good analogy is we actually found that bartenders make great 911 operators because they're very calm. They have great listening skills. They can give advice based on what you've shared. And who knew that a bartender or 911 operator could be the same person as they just move up in their career. But that's kind of what this tool will do for you. It's going to shine a spotlight on what you need to focus on. And this is just the part where we click on the jobs and it will show all the jobs in your area. And again, this is just showing what a collection, like saving different courses in a collection. So that way you can just go in and take, one course after another. And also too, this is cool. Our content, we support the top 70 industry recognized certification programs out there in the universe. So we have the content to teach you, whether it's technology, software, or business practice. And we also have the content to prep you to take the exam. You would, once you got through that, you would go to a third-party testing center. When I used to live in Ohio, I worked for a instructor-led training company, and we actually had a Sylvan testing center within our site that people would buy their voucher, go into the testing booth. It's a third party that manages the security and privacy of that. If they pass it 80% or above, then let's say it was for Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services would send you a certificate showing that you're certified in that technology. So that's a great way if you're looking to, put credentials behind what you're learning. We have the capability of offering that to you. Same thing with continuing ed credits. Maybe in your past work life, maybe you were a CPA who decided to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of the kids and get them to a certain age before you come back to the workforce. We have for Society of Human Resource, Project Management, CompTIA, HR Certification Institute, International Business Institute of Business Analysis. So again, if that's something that you're looking for, we have the capability of supporting you there as well. LinkedIn Learning Talent Insights. So this is where all that economic graph data goes to. So I'll show you an actual report that I ran And it, again, just gives us some highlights on an area of the country that we're focusing on, you know, companies and what type of talent are they hiring? What are the titles? One thing that we've noticed, especially in government, is that the job titles that they're using are kind of antiquated. You know, they haven't changed them in a really long time. So you can actually look down to see what are the other titles that are kind of taking the place of those older titles that make it more updated to where people can identify with that title more so than something that's been around for 25 years. But I'll show you an example of that here in just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we've had so many great stories around patrons, you know, over the years sharing with us how, you know, they had to get ready for a job interview and, you know, hadn't interviewed in a long time and just felt like they were kind of out of touch with that. So they, you know, did that, they got the job, or they took on more initiative at work and took on a project that they've never worked on before and did great, you know. So it's just a lot of cool examples that give you goosebumps when you hear about them. So I'm the top companies list, I put these in here too. So these are 90% of all state and local government, federal government is using LinkedIn Learning. So this just kind of gives you an idea, you know, from a federal government down to state and local government, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, World University rankings. You know, so we've got great coverage of people utilizing this content. And I am going to get out of this and we're going to now hop over to, I want to go, hold on just a second. I can't see my little link here to get past this. And we'll go up here. Okay, so we should be, you should be seeing the LinkedIn Learning for Library Learner for when a patron logs in. This is what you're going to see. And they'll always kind of do a commercial up here at the top of just net new courses that have been released. And you can kind of filter through that if you want, you know, just kind of going through the latest and greatest. I can look at my in progress or saved content. If I come up here to my learning, I can see the exact same things and it'll give me a little bit more few other choices I can focus on. So in progress just means I've started that course, but I have not completed it. But it gives me a place, kind of a bucket of content that I've started. So when I log back in, I can jump right back into that course. Or maybe you started watching a course, but you forgot what the title was. This is where you're going to come look that up and find it. Save just means, let's say that you saw some content that was just released, it's brand new, you want to view it, you just don't have the time right now, just, you know, click on the little ribbon and that will add it to your save bucket so that you can come back and find it at a later point in time when you have time to sit down and do it. Here's my collection. So what this allows you to do is if I come over here, we can see that there's just a number of different courses in here. And this just allows a patron to come in and it's only visible to you. So Bloomington Public Library patrons won't be able to see, you know, this collection that you've created. It's just for you because this is your account. So you're the only one that can see the content that you're taking. Even the library, when they run their reports, they don't see the content that a patron's taken. All they get to see is aggregate reporting stats of, you know, 50 people logged in this week or 50 people viewed this type of content this week. So they don't have names connected to courses. So again, this is all private to you, but it allows you to add different content, different topics together in a list. Think of it like a syllabus. Like I would come in here and take this course, then this course, and it might be around a certain topic or topics that I want to cover. But allows you just to kind of, you know, stitch content together that I can come back to at any point in time and take when I'm ready. And then the learning history, this is just going to show me where my certificates of completion are going to be located at. So every time I finish a course, I can come in here and view my certificates, or I can download them, which again, I would highly recommend that you download the certificate and save it someplace on your device or in a folder. And then the skills area, since we don't have profiles, which if you were using regular LinkedIn Learning, like how corporations or state and local governments use, If you have a profile, it actually looks into your skills, experience, where your geolocation is at, and it pulls that information over into LinkedIn Learning. And then the artificial intelligence filters through the content and presents to that learner on their landing page the best content based on their current skills and experience. So that way, instead of saying, hey, there's 16,000 courses here, have at it, you can go through anything, we're going to highlight very relevant content based on your current skills and experience. So that way it'll help engage you faster because it's things you already want to learn about because that's what you're doing and you want to skill up to the next level. So it will then again present that content to you to make it easy for you to get engaged. Usually I say on this area when you want to pick different topics, because in the LinkedIn Learning for Library, since there is no profile connection, you're actually able to come here under the skills under My Learning and select 2 or 3 topics. You can select more, but usually you want to keep it to 2 or 3 because when you think of it over a year period, you want to learn deep into the content rather than just a little bit about a lot of things. Is you want to have some focus around the topic or subjects that you want to learn. So you can keep these here. And if you're say, hey, you know what, I got a job, I don't need interview preparation any longer, you can just click and delete that and add in business strategy if that's something that's going to pertain to the job that you have. So you can mix and match these up. But again, it's just a filtering system that helps you get the content when you're landing here. Top picks for you. Again, if you had a LinkedIn profile, it would have your name, but because the patron version doesn't, your profile pic is just gray and it just says me because we don't know who you are. But it will show the top picks for you. And again, this is pulling from those skills. Also, they'll have different communities that you can join to, just see the chats that are going back and forth on different topics. You can grow. So if your role is in business, analyst, and you want to follow that, then you can start looking and seeing more content around that to support you there. And again, this is just looking at the 3 different skill topics that we selected under skills, and it's showing me the content relevant to those topic areas. Then they'll also just show you what's most popular on LinkedIn. So it's just going to kind of give you a barometer of, the millions of people that we have using LinkedIn Learning, what's most popular, what's kind of resonating with people right now. They also do features of different instructors, and sometimes they'll do like webinars where, Catherine Hodge will be one of the presenters or speakers around software development. So they'll post those onto the LinkedIn pages, to support that and get that out there if you'd like to join that. They also have content that is 30 minutes or less. So if you're like, hey, I have 10 minutes, show me some content around the areas that I'm focused on, it'll just bring up that type of content for you. If I come down here and let's say, I choose
20
this course here, just to let you know how the courses are developed. So this course is considered a general course, meaning it's not beginning or advanced, intermediate or advanced. It's just a general kind of a tips and tricks course, 24 minutes long. It's still relevant, even though it was released back in 2013. But the way that our courses are made up is a video makes up a chapter, which makes up a course. So what they'll do is they'll build in chapter quizzes throughout the course, and you can take them right when you're done with the chapters, or you can wait to the very end and go back and take all the chapter quiz questions at the same time. You're not getting a pass-fail grade on this. This is one thing that Lynda Wyman, the founder of lynda.com, she was actually a school teacher by trade, and she wanted to create a safe learning environment for patrons and for learners to come into and feel like, hey, I'm not very good at this, or I don't know anything about it. They didn't want them to be intimidated that, hey, I took my first quiz and I got every single question wrong. She wanted it to be, again, a safe learning environment where someone could come in, try it. Okay, didn't do so well there. Let's go back and figure out how to fill those black holes of knowledge and do better, and then take that quiz again and see how they did. So again, it's not pass fail, but it is a place for you to come in. And sometimes, like myself, I have to go back several times and watch a video to learn how to do something because it's just not sticking. If I want to save something, I can just click that little ribbon and it will put it in my save bucket. If we come over here, I can see what certificates I can get. So this one's LinkedIn Learning certificate. So I can download that at a later point in time. But it will give you a little bit of information about what the course will cover, skills that will be covered, how many learners have viewed this course. And they're also going to show you other related courses. So sometimes when we're thinking about a topic, we kind of have horse blinders on where, oh, this is what I need. This is all I need. What the author is trying to do here is just widen your view a little bit to say, hey, managing your time or creating an amazing life. This is content too that will help support your overall goal. So I always like to say it's good to look at that content and view it because it'll just give you a better, well-rounded kind of a recognition of the topics that you're covering and, you know, how to learn better and be deeper in that topic. Coming over here to the notebook feature. So let's say you're watching a course and let's say you're doing digital marketing or web development, and let's say it's a Python course. And you find a string of code that you know you could use in a project and you don't want to write it down because that piece of paper is just going to get thrown away at some point in time. You could actually come in here and type, hey, save this for the project I'm starting next month, whatever, hit save, press enter, it'll save it. You can come back to this course at any point in time and maybe you have 3 or 4 or 5 different saved notes. Click the one that's relevant and it will actually start the course right where you saved that note at. So just think of it as a digital version of dog-earing the top of your book when you're reading it to mark your place or a place you want to go back to. That's what this is going to be able to provide you, but it will jump, you know, it could be an 8-hour course. It'll jump you 3 hours in where you save that remark about, you know, the topic that you wanted to save for a later point in time. Each course is going to offer a transcript, and this actually is from lynda.com. It allows you to come in and let me just see if that, so if I just type in a keyword failure and if I say, okay, click there.
Then there is failure.
So it's
failure.
It's going to jump to wherever I clicked on, because sometimes if you type in a keyword like digital marketing, it could show up 20 times in the course. So you would just want to kind of find, you know, the keywords, just type in what you're looking for, pick the one that's relevant, and it will jump you to that point in time in the course. So maybe you're working in Excel and you have to do something with a pivot table and you only work with pivot tables once a quarter. You know, it's kind of like, I just need a refresher. So you can go back and watch a 2-minute video, get your answer, go back to work and on the way you go. So again, it's a great place just to jump around through a course instead of sitting there and watching the whole chapter to get to the point that you need. You can rewind by 10 seconds, go forward 10 seconds, go back a chapter, forward a chapter. You can grab the bar and move it around however you want to move it. You can actually speed up or slow down a course. So maybe you're new to online learning and you're not real comfortable with taking online learning. You can speed or slow the course down by half. Or if you are pretty well versed with the topic and you just want to hear what the new things are, and this is what I normally do, is I'll set it to 1.25. You know, still you can understand her 2 times. It sometimes can get a little, sound like a mouse, but 1.25, it just speeds it up a little bit so that, you know, you're getting the gist of the things that are different and that you're not sure of. You can turn on and off closed caption, change your player preference settings, your sound, and then also you can make it full screen. So if you don't want to see any of this other stuff here, the contents or the bottom part, you can just make it full screen and view the course that way. You can, again, save this. It'll put it in your save bucket. If you wanted to share this course, so let's say you were watching a course and you know your mom, sister, brother, dad would love this course, but they don't have access to LinkedIn Learning. If you shared it with them, 10% of every course that we produce is free for anybody to view. And think of it as kind of like the commercial for that content. You can share it out to them and they can click through about 5 or 7 links to get a good idea, and they can view it that way, or they can go to their local public library and and try to get access that way. I am going to go over to, I have to, this little bar's in my way, so let me just go over here. So one thing I wanted to point out, this is the admin side. So this is what Mimi and her team can see on the back end. But what I wanted to share with you is when they're pulling reports, they can pull it from an organizational summary. Again, it just aggregates the activity across all learners, or they can see the most popular content that's being viewed. So there's no names, no individual patrons that are singled out. They're just getting aggregate data to share with boards to show, hey, this is how we invested our money and we're getting a good usage rate, and we want to continue offering this to patrons. One thing under this area here, I wanted to show you guys, when you are using the mobile app, every library that has LinkedIn Learning for Library has this string of code that's pasted onto their website. So that's how you get into LinkedIn Learning. But when you use the mobile app, there is a vanity URL that every library has to create. And this is the piece here I have highlighted in blue that patrons need to know to paste into their mobile app. So when you're trying to get access, what happens is you're clicking on the mobile app, you're entering in library card and PIN. It's going to ask for the URL vanity code. You're going to type this in a lot of libraries will just abbreviate their name. And then it will recognize that this patron belongs to Bloomington Public Library, let them in. So just know that you have to set it up first on a desktop, download the app, then you can utilize the mobile app by using this URL. And let me go to this next screen here. We already covered certifications. So let me just cover the talent insights. So again, this is all being driven by the economic graph data, the 850 million members, 57 million companies. And I have pulled just a basic report here on Bloomington. So what this is showing me is that in the last year, again, and the way that I filtered this out is I just looked at some different skills, different types of industries. So I just added those little filters to this. And it's saying that there's 273 folks that, based on their LinkedIn profile information, are coming up in this report. 34 of them have changed jobs in the last year. And there's 39 job posts currently looking for those people with these skills. There are 15 people on LinkedIn that are engaged in talent looking for these types of jobs. So you can see, there's people that have the skill, people who change jobs, job posts, and people looking. There's a lot more jobs out there than there are people looking for jobs. So everybody's looking for the same person and everybody's being fought over. And again, if you're in that in-between stage where you'd like to work for this type of company doing this type of job, but you're not quite there skill-wise, LinkedIn Learning for Library is a great way for you to, again, fill that skills gap and apply and get, hired by that organization. But what this is going to show us as well is who's employing this type of talent, what schools are producing this talent, what skills are related to the talent. So again, we can just kind of look through that data. Title. So again, I'd said earlier, what are the most common titles among the talent? What's the fastest growing title? So again, this is where it's coming in and showing, maybe, they just had driver in the past. Now they're calling it a delivery driver. So it's more, gives you more information about what kind of driver they're looking for. Under the skills area, we can see on most common skills among this talent. So we can see, it's a little bit heavier female than it is male, but we like to see a 50-50 split there. So this is something too, that we can look at. And again, this is how we're able to get that labor data to tell a story about what's actually happening in any part of the world based on members, jobs, companies, higher ed institutions, the mapped skills that we've done with competencies, is we can see that we can tell organizations that, hey, your job descriptions or job posts are more leaning towards males the way it's written. You know, that's best practices. It should be able to be written for male or female. So we're able to help guide companies to make sure that they're keeping that in mind, especially around diversity, equity, inclusion, that you need to make sure that your job postings are fitting for everyone to be able to apply for them and not leaning towards one sex or one ethnic background. You know, so again, it's just interesting how this data we can help support organizations. So what industries are employing this talent? So again, it's just giving us, again, the labor market data that we use to help organizations make better decisions when it comes to how they spend their money, what tools and resources they use. So this is that Career Explorer tool. This is the live tool. So I have put in Greater Bloomington area. I have put in a warehouse associate. So again, there's just different skills here. You can type one in and it will find, you know, the relevant one. But what I'm doing is I'm looking from a similarity score of high to low. We have an 89% match here. So what it's showing, and I don't know if I can even see this. So customer service, yeah, I can't read that. It's so small. But it's showing where my gaps are at or what I have that's similar. And then it's showing me the course over here that I should take to bridge that from what I currently am doing to become a warehouse specialist. So again, like I said, since there's no connection from this to your LinkedIn Learning for library, I would just, you know, take a screenshot of this with your phone or whatever, go into your LinkedIn Learning for library account and create a collection with these courses to get you prepared to be able to, you know, then go apply for those jobs. So if I click here, it's actually going to take me to the jobs in Bloomington that are open right now, and they're looking for this talent. You can see there's a number of jobs. If I come back to, sorry, I have to keep moving this, but it keeps blocking out my little screen there. And if I come over here, I can click on LinkedIn and find connections of people that work at companies that are looking for these type of people. So again, what we're trying to do is expand your network, get you introduced to people who are actually looking for people like you with similar skills and experience. So we can not only show you the jobs that are open, but we can actually show you people you should be connecting to say, hey, I'm looking for this, you know, you guys currently, because maybe there's a job that they have, they're looking for, they just didn't post it. It's just a private one that they're working on in the background. So just because they haven't posted jobs doesn't mean they don't have anything that they're actually looking for. So that's something else to keep in mind. So I am going to stop right there and see what questions that we have. Hopefully that was helpful for everyone, give you a little bit better, deeper insight into LinkedIn Learning. Got a thumbs up. That's good. I'm on the right target here. Mimi, I don't know if you had a chance to look through any of the chat questions.
Yes, and actually there's a couple of folks on here who are interested in me sending them some promotional materials for them to share with their organizations. My friends at the Goodwill Career Center and also at CareerLink are interested. So
Wonderful.
I can talk with you about this afterwards, about something that I could share with them to make sure that all of their job seekers know about this resource.
And actually, so Goodwill falls under our nonprofit. So we actually have a team of people that just work on nonprofit that I, you know, could get them in contact with if they would like that. Because I don't actually have any stuff for nonprofit. I just have it for state and local government and public libraries. But I'd be happy to introduce you to the person that has that information.
Oh, perfect. And I believe that CareerLink is also a local nonprofit. Shelley will correct me if I'm misspeaking.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions after the fact, my email is jpalmer@linkedin.com. Feel free to email me and I can shoot your email to the right person and make the introduction for you. But yeah, I mean, I see somebody says, I love lynda.com or LinkedIn, whatever it's called. Yeah, there's not many of us Lynda people left when we have like big meetings, and they were doing a Wordle where we had to enter in a word, you know, for something that resonated with us. And I had put in lynda.com, and there were some other folks, and it was showing up on the screen live as people were putting in the words. And somebody made a mention. It's like, oh, I still see some of the OG lynda.com crew here, which is always fun. I mean, I still work at the same campus. It's in Carpinteria, California. And that's kind of a cool story too. We're actually the largest production studio north of Hollywood. And it's about a 13-acre campus. There are 16 green screen rooms and I think 105 whisper booths where the producer, author, and editors work to, if they have to go in and dub something because it didn't come across clearly, if they change anything. But we have what we call end days for LinkedIn Learning or LinkedIn, and they have a family day that happens in November of every year. And that's where you can invite, like they've actually did contests where I think they flew 5 staff members, families. One guy's family came from India. They flew him in for end day family day because he won the contest. And they, in the green screen room, they had the mom, the dad, the brother, sister, they were standing on a surfboard, and there was a huge wave they put on the green screen, and they were all looking like they were surfing. So it's kind of fun. It's a fun campus to be on because they have all this technology that, you know, normal folks don't. How'd you do that? But yeah, it's a fun campus. It's a little beach town between Ventura and Santa Barbara. And I'll miss that when I go back to Ohio, but that's okay. You know, I'm giving up the weather, but I'd rather be by my family.
I just wanted folks to know also that if they are interested in, there's a few little brief tutorials on our website. So when they go to our website, which is bloomingtonlibrary.org, and go to the online resources and select LinkedIn Learning, there's a link that will take them to a couple of brief introduction on how to sign up, how to enter your card, and those things. So that's a helpful thing to take a look at if you're new to the product.
Another good thing too, because even though from recommendations ALA gave us when we built this product out of not having a profile, we still have a lot of patrons that went ahead and just created their own profiles, just not connected to LinkedIn Learning for Library. But we have a course in LinkedIn Learning called Rock Your Profile. And it's a great course to take because if you're newer to the LinkedIn profile piece and you are looking for a job, I would highly recommend that you take that course. And what I've done in the past when I first started it, it took me like, and this was, I think I bought a CD because this is before I even worked at lynda.com. I was still up in the Bay Area. And I bought this guy CD that had a course on how to create a LinkedIn profile. And I had actually bought my LinkedIn, the premium, back in, I think, 2005. And I spent like 2 or 3 Sundays just focusing on like 3 sections, because if you put a lot of thought behind it, you'll put something in and like, I don't like that, and I'll edit it, or I'll pull this out and put something else in. So it can take a while, because just think of it as this is you incorporated. This is your business persona. I'm actually an ambassador for the Rock Your Profile team, where I can go out and do Rock Your Profile sessions. But since COVID, nobody's been doing that. But it's a great course to go through because it just talks about why you want to do it this way, how to do this, don't do this. It's not an online resume, you know, which a lot of people think it is. You know, it's like, well, that's where I put my resume. Nope, 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 nope. This is about you as a person, what you're passionate about, what you believe in, kind of what your mission and goals are. And people will come and search for you and find you and just read about your background, or people that might be in a whole nother industry, but they're looking for someone who's well-versed in what you do. They could reach out and just say, hey, I'm looking for some advice, or do you know of anybody that might be looking for X, Y, and Z, or can work on this type of project? I get all kinds of interesting requests, you know, to connect people together. Like I have a gentleman who just started LinkedIn. He's in our advertising group, and he saw somebody that I used to work with at another company. And he's like, could you make the introduction? I'm like, sure. So I just reached out to her and she's like, oh yeah, tell them to call me. We can set up a call and talk about the advertising. So again, it's just, good karma. Do what's right, do what's good. But yeah, I mean, it's a profile is a great thing, especially if you're, still in the working kind of spot in your life, or you're learning net new skills, or maybe you're changing careers entirely because you went through the great reshuffle and what you did no longer brings passion into your life. So a lot of people are there too. And I've been there in the past. I love what I do now, but I've been lost in the past, and it's like, where do I want to go? But I found myself, so I'm good with that. Any other questions? If not, I think we can close up the show today. And again, we'll share all this resources with you.
Julie, thank you so much for taking your time to come talk to us. It's really nice to meet you in person after emailing with you for several years. I appreciate it. And also, I will get you in touch with the two I will share with you the email addresses for Shelley and Ursula, my two nonprofit buddies on the line, and about resources they can use for their job seeking.
That would be, and I can introduce them to the people that can get them the right information that can support them. And thank all the patrons, and thank you, Mimi, and your little dog. And it's been a pleasure. Always love talking to patrons because I mean, people can change their lives if they want to, through this content, which is, again, that's why I'm passionate about it, because it's something close to my heart where, I love what I do. And when you see the results of what you do change people's lives, it makes a difference.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. And thanks to everyone who attended. A link to this program and materials from Julie will be sent out, if not today, tomorrow. Thank you all so much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.